from the heart of Dubai, where tomorrow is being built today, to the world. Welcome to the CTO Show with Mehmet. Here, we redefine technology and reimagine possibilities. With Mehmet, delve into the riveting realms of AI, cybersecurity, and digital technology. Experience the thrilling highs and lows of startups. Immerse yourself in the spirit of entrepreneurship and witness the future of business innovation being written in real time. Now, without further ado, let's tune in and explore the future.
Hello and welcome back to a new episode of the CTO Show with Mehmet. Today I'm very pleased joining me, Vygandas. Vygandas, thank you very much for being here with me today. The way I love to do it is I keep it to my guests to introduce themselves. So tell us a little bit more about your background, your journey, and what you're currently up to, and then we can start the discussion from there. So the floor is yours.
Hello, thank you. It's very cool to be a guest in your podcast. My name is Vygandas Pliasas. I'm fractional CTO and management consultant. I have a wealth of experience of about a bit over than 18 years, and been working with the United States, United Kingdom startups mostly. And what I do is I help founders and execs to streamline the process of product development, engineering management. So basically, try to disrupt a little bit old processes and look from the different angle what's going on in the company, like in the whole organization maybe, and find what can be optimized, how to maybe sometimes reshape the departments and make everybody the most efficient, the most efficient that they can be.
That's great, Vygandas, and thank you again for being with me. It looks like we're gonna have a exciting discussions because I think this is one of the main points we try to cover on the podcast about everything. Especially, I believe you work more with non-technical founders, right? So this is where maybe it will make more
Yes,
sense, right?
yes. Well, there
Right.
are technical founders, so it's like non-technical founder, or they don't have time, and they're like,
Okay.
go figure it out.
That's very very good use case, I would say. And now maybe a little bit maybe traditional questions. You must have seen a gap, right, in the market. So you have decided this. So let's take it in a different way. Let's talk about the challenges and the traps, let's call them, that usually such founders they fall in, so they would need a hand to help them. So let's start from the main challenges you see
Mhm.
usually when they come to you.
Uh, the usual case is the company hired an agency, and then let's say they have a call once a week, something like that. The agency has a project manager and the team. So the communication is usually with a project manager. And then let's say CEO or founder tells all sorts of things that they need, and they work on it. So it's basically, hourly based effort, for the whole team, and whatever they say is priority, those people try to do. Uh, so that's basically the usual case how it gets started. Then the problem area is that miscommunication. uh, Founders, like whoever basically interacts with the agency, tends to have a lot of ideas and a lot of priorities that change really frequently. And like those agencies tries to optimize the profit margins also by throwing in more junior developers rather than seniors. So there are a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of incorrectly implemented features, and it costs a lot. And the founder or whoever is interacting with them starts to become frustrated, irritated, and like unhappy, or because stuff does not get done simply. So that's a usual case, I'd say. And there's another case when they just need a view from different angle and somebody with more varied experience to come into the organization, talk to head of product, head of engineering, head of operations, sales, support, and so on, and basically figure out what is the current situation, find where the vision should lead, and then make a proposal on what could be changed. So basically, prepare the plan for somebody to execute the change management transformation within the company.
Cool. Is there any specific phase where you see this happening more? Like, is it like after maybe they created an MVP and they started to go out and then they want to really actually build the more features around, the MVP? Or do you see it, no, starting even from the MVP phase where they have these struggles?
Well, so it makes sense to do the MVP with an agency because it's easier to estimate, especially initially. So you have a spec, and then they tell you the price, and you agree, and you get it, more or less. But what happens later is that they switch to hourly because they need a lot of improvements, changes. So it doesn't make sense to write statements of work, or and they just throw in requirements like Jira tickets or Trello or something like that, or just emails to the PM. And then it and then it gets more complicated, and there appears to be more complex features, and that complexity becomes a bit too hard to handle for the agency people, because many, like, in my case, with those whom I work with, those agencies, many tends to I'll give the devs multiple projects. So they work on this client, on another client, maybe something else, maybe fixing some legacy stuff. So they don't really, they're not 100% into that single project as if we're like full-time contractor or employee would be. So, that starts to cause all sorts of problems. Let's say a PM leaves. So nobody has any sort of idea what is this project about. Maybe some devs don't really like care that much or had too much work to do, and they just taking the ticket, getting it done, next taking ticket, maybe some different project, and like they shuffle all of it, and then new PM comes in, and like all the cycle starts again. And so in my case, also what I noticed is that usually it's not like originally a SaaS company, but rather than a company that already had some sort of business, maybe even like old-fashioned business, and then they created some software for themselves, and it turned out that other people, other companies, make competitors also need the same solution, and they think, okay, let's convert into that SaaS model and allow everybody else to pay us and like use it. So otherwise they will make it themselves anyway. So better to take the revenue that way. And they have the budget, but they need efficiency and speed in that case.
Right. Now, you mentioned about agencies and of course the challenges that is caused by not because of the agencies are bad, don't get me wrong, guys, if you
No,
are an
no.
agency owner, but I mean, yeah, you mentioned something and this is understandable from the business model of an agency. Now the question is, when it is the right moment, because you mentioned about okay MVP and later, but and this is I think something you help with, Vigandas.
Mhm.
I need to take now, let's say I'm the founder, I'm the CEO, and now I need to take the decision to hire these people as part of my company.
Hmm.
uh, are there like some minimum, I would say, signals or requirements that should tick the box before I go and make this move to bring these guys in house and get someone like yourself also on a fractional level to manage them? Or it depends, like what are like the different scenarios and options that I might have as a founder,
Hmm.
who having these challenges you just mentioned, to make sure that I fix things, right? So what's my journey looks like?
Okay, so definitely agencies are not bad. I mean, like the you should start considering the switch when you get frustrated, when you don't get the speed that you would like, and when you basically you start building the product. So you want in-house knowledge, you want to start writing documentation, you want people who would care only about that product, like give t-shirts and stuff like that. And another component which is really important to this equation is that you want to optimize on the budget, because like if you have like a lot of cash to spend, it definitely can go with an agency. It's fine. You will get what you need, but many times it is significantly better like deal and a better value to start building your own team that would go under your own flag. So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you want to say something, I think,
so
Vegan, that's like,
probably getting frustrated, need more speed, and want to optimize on spendings.
okay, cool. So you come when actually, if I am the CEO, I'm feeling, you know I don't know what to do next, right?
Yeah.
So if I want again, because what I'm trying to do with you, Vigandas, is I want to create kind of your ultimate customer or your ICP journey, which is an overwhelmed, a frustrated CEO. So how the plan works, like, of course, I know it might depend on the situation, but there must be kind of a maybe playbook, or like, is it like, you start certain assessment first, like is it a kind of some questionnaire you hand over to the CEO? How usually this works? And of course, I believe like later you come with some actionable plans.
Mhm.
So how exactly the let's call
Yes.
it, the process works?
Uh, sure. Um, so there is no, at least in my playbook, no like strict set in stone questions, but there is a framework how I approach it. So I start talking with the CEO. So basically, what's up? What's the problem? What you don't like? What you want to have there? And then I talk to all the other people, like level by level, going deeper with the most relevant people, of course. And then the let's say in the chain of command, the further you go, you get the completely different perspective. The higher, it's more politically careful, like politically correct. It's like vague words, nobody wants to hurt themselves or colleague. They know how to like tell nothing with a lot of words, stuff like that. And then you dig deeper, 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 and then you come to the, let's say, lead developer or just a product manager, and they tell a completely different story or something. The requirements are not clear. There's like too many of things changing. There's no structure, no process how to approach things, all sorts of things. Maybe people are leaving too frequently, and so on, so on. So all sorts of things. Maybe it's a small startup, or maybe it's just a, let's say, big company with like rising project on the side. So it depends, like on the size, but you get down, and then you start going up, so and you join to the call and say like, all right, so I've been hearing few things about that there might not be like clear process on how all those ideas like gets born and gets transferred into development and like getting shaped into what needs to be done, and then taken, and that might be causing frustrations. So it's like true or false, and get the answers, get the perspective, going step up, and then talking to those guys, and then talking to the CEO again, and so you get the different picture, and then I write like a report. What I found, what's the general feedback, how it's all understood within the company, within different departments, like engineering, product, maybe sales, operations. And then like I start writing some proposals. I know that those proposals might not be right initially. And then I give the document to all the people I've talked to, and they read it, and then I go again and I get better answers, because for those where the problem wasn't the one that I described in the document, they will start saying, "Oh man, it's like don't do that. It's the only thing that works well." Okay, something
Yeah,
like that. You basically uncover. It's like iteration by iteration, and you uncover all those secrets, lying deep in the organization.
right. Now, so let's now shift to the other phase. So now, I figured out I cannot do it alone. I need some help. So you came in, you joined me, Vigandas. I'm just making this up.
Hmm?
Uh, Now, I believe the next step, of course, putting these documents and talking to the stakeholders. But let's get into the technical aspect, which is actually with the people who gonna build the product.
Mhm.
Now, from your experience, and you have done this many times, and your profile talks a lot about this. Now, how is your approach, shapes when going from a small team and now we're gonna scale? So you came, you cleaned the mess. Now we need to take it to the next step. So
Mhm.
here, tell me a little bit more about your approach in scaling engineering teams and making sure that everything works perfectly. I understand sometimes even for some companies they would have very dispersed teams also as well. They might be in different continents.
Mhm.
So let's talk about this aspect here.
Well, most of my experience is built on remote teams and remote teams management and building. So that's the easy part, I guess, for me. Um, it's tricky. It is not so you need to approach it with care and think what you say, and don't rush with decisions. I need to talk with everybody and find out what they think, because so there's a very strong human component, like human emotions and ego component there. So there might be somebody super strong in technology, like leading like the development and everything, and there might be two ways. The person might be super good architect, or they might be really good manager. Like if you make a super good architect into a manager, they will be overwhelmed because they will try to do perfect job in technology, but they will be buried in like managerial tasks, basically talking with people and not doing anything hands on. Or it might be like vice versa, where the potentially great manager who gets along really well with everybody um, would be really desperate if they were left in like as a dev, for example. So need to find out the potential, and even like let's say somebody sees somebody potentially becoming like engineering manager, director of engineering, if it's a bigger team, like you need to make sure that they want that really, and they understand how it will change the day to day. Because like if you get 40 people, like there's no way you will be coding. Like you can, but it will be like it will be some sad time, I think, if you want to if you want to get all the things straight. um And then, you start proposing ideas like carefully, like, what do you think? Who would be the good like person to handle all those like nitty gritty things like communication with, let's say, product, like with other departments, and basically shaping it so you guys could, work with it. Like, not saying it's like, who could be your boss? Like, that sounds bad. So, like, approaching it with like a smart angle, and getting some ideas, and after also again multiple iterations, everybody is fine with it. Like, either you need to hire somebody new, like a director or engineer manager or leads or like extra devs, and there's somebody who could handle those teams, but need to make sure that it's the right person who will be, let's say, team lead also. So otherwise, you will give them for other new developers, and they will be burnt out like in a couple of months.
Right. A quick question, Vigandas, on hiring and firing here. So, and we hear a lot of opinions. So, how fast is too fast, and how late is too late? Let me ask it this way.
um, I'd say you get a red flag, you mark it and watch it. No rush decisions. You get strike two, you talk, you try to figure out what's wrong. If it's like strike three, like out, you can put the person on tip, but usually like uh, it ends up the only one way. So it's like, don't wait for too long, because if there is like repetition or the pattern of behavior, there's no point. You practically on strike two, you can start practically put a job description already. Um, so it's difficult. It's never easy. But if you wait for really long and like hope for something to happen, it will not happen. Like, you have to do something about it. Of course, you need to talk. It might be something silly. It might be something small, something silly, so you can figure it out. But many people are afraid to do that because it's like sounds bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh,
Also, funny thing is, high level managers usually knows one thing if they see a consultant, because that it happens that execs hire a consultant so they could blame the consultant for the layoffs. It's like, it's never a good sign, to see a consultant, I think.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I heard stories similar to this.
Yeah.
Now, talking about, and of course, we are on the CTO show. So, managing to keep track of course, the tech stack, but at the same time, keep making what the business requires, right?
Mhm.
Um, so, my question to you, Vigandas, is like, how, is there any framework to make sure that everything that we are doing on the technical side of the house stays within the business goals? And is there some signals that start to appear, maybe red flags, let's call them this way,
Mhm.
that hey, like you need to go to tell you know the business owner, the founder, CEO, whoever, like, hey, like, I think there is some mismatch here, and I think you need to rethink this again, right? So,
Mhm.
what is the best approach? What kind of experience you can share with us regarding that?
Well, what structure I usually implement is, let's say, product has to build their own roadmap and has to be well thought through and prioritized. So they have to make a list and then come to engineering and then engineering will tell what is hard, what needs to be split potentially, what could be split. So work with the product together, and make those evaluations. It could be LOA, level of effort, t-shirt sizing. That's usually the easier one. Like story points, it's crazy. It's because it's at high level, long initiatives, especially portfolio initiatives. It takes quarters or half years, and get it planned at there and get engineering input all the time. Also, at the same time, engineering has to build a very same kind of the roadmap that needs to be done on engineering side, like technical. Do they need to, let's say, rewrite monolith structure into microservices? Do they need implement Kafka, let's say, or auto scaling? Do they need to do some sort of migrations, lib changes, version updates, other things? Maybe it's uh, like Java 8, for example, and if they would like to upgrade a little bit up. And then I found the best way to have like 80-20%. 80 is product, 20 is engineering, and basically do all those improvements at the same time. Also work on the product, assuming there's like a larger team, who can handle like 10, in an example, 10 devs to making infra upgrades, 8 making product stuff, let's say. And if you do it right, if you agree on product roadmap, you estimate it more or less well. And if you do the very same thing with technical roadmap, you can plan it in and get the consensus among all the leadership. They can start working on it.
Right. Now, a question, maybe not very much as a follow up, but it's something that just popped up in my head. So, I know like you work with different also kind of startups and also like enterprises. How much the vertical they are in shape also your style and your frameworks, or is it like just SaaS, similar to e-commerce, similar maybe to, I don't know, maybe fintech? So how things might change when you work with different type of startups?
Well, most experience that I have is in travel. Well, not like travel, like more like an e-commerce style or getting the users into the project, but it's a lower risk where you have massive marketing budget, massive traffic coming in, and you basically need to figure out all how to get it done fast and like react to market changes, all of that stuff. And the other kind of projects I've been working is like in healthcare, which is super dangerous. Somebody can die if you make a bug, that kind of stuff. And there's a completely different approach. So in where you need to be super fast and react, it's better to take um say make you can make more mistakes. It won't hurt you that bad. You can move faster. You can have shorter QA process. It really works if you hire really strong senior developers. You might not even need manual QAs testing what they've done. It might be CQA engineer who's like training everybody and making sure that they're actually testing it themselves. But on the medical stuff, it's like you have to test everything and you have to do regression tests before the release again, which takes a lot of time. And, to be compliant with all the regulations, if the QA says, oh, that smells, you're basically dropping it off and like putting it back into and looking into it. What's wrong with it? It might be not only like engineering stuff that was not incorrect, was incorrect. It might be uh, from legal, somebody felt it might not go right. It might be from product. It might be from medical. It might just not be what you might think your, let's say, stakeholder wanted you to build. So there are many more risks, like huge fines if you make something dumb.
Yeah. No, makes absolutely sense. Now we can't be sitting recording an episode, especially with a CTO like yourself, Vigandas, without asking you about AI, right? So let me ask you how AI affected the way you engage with your clients.
It made it harder actually in some way. It made it easier in another way. Let's say so it's easier to, let's say, make emails, optimize it. It's easier to, let's say, document some things. Let's say you have notes, you can, let's say, ask ChatGPT, like, edit, proofread whatever I had, and it makes it a bit more readable. If you wrote everything very fast, yeah, iPad. But what I found is like everybody's now bombarded on emails with an AI emails and requests, and all of it's everything's automated, and it's a bit nightmare. It's kind of crazy in LinkedIn, like how many messages are coming in. It's all ChatGPT stuff. Um, then companies tend to be more careful with an AI because, again, it's a third party. So nobody really wants to give the data to a third party that easily. So also everybody heard the stories where airlines chatbot promised something and then they got sued for the chatbot's actions. So it's more cautious. On development side, so I practically tell everybody to implement some sort of pull request checking AI. That's an awesome thing. So you keep humans doing the pull request reviews, but you can also have an AI that can check your Jira, that can check your code, and basically write the comments. What might be incorrect? What might be a better thing? So it basically makes the check like the very first iteration of the most obvious things. So that saves a lot of time for the human review of the pull request. What else? Mm, it's easier
What
to shape requirements, but it's not really that much of integrations yet.
what about coding, Vigandas? And we see a lot of
Oh yes.
co-pilots, and I can name bunch of these
Mhm.
tools like Cursor, Replit. There are many others also.
Yes.
So again, is this something that, from your perspective as someone in leadership, makes the life easier or like harder for you?
Uh, I think those has to use it. It's like a tool. Like you had a hammer manual, now you have like electric one. No, definitely. But I always tell, like, you are still the head. AI is not the head. You the boss, like to the developers. You the boss. You manage your tool. Like you cannot listen blindly what it tells you. Think
Right.
on at every step, because it might make it even harder for you, especially on complex tasks. So what they found is extremely good when you need explanations. So I experimented myself with cloud. So it's like IntelliJ, it works on all. WebStorm, basically JetBrains plugin for cloud Anthropic. And it can see your files and it can interpret really well the code base. I really like that one. Of course, like there are a bunch of AI integrations, like I think Easy Code, then Copilot, JetBrains has Copilot, GitHub has Copilot. Then the one, how it's called, I've heard that Silicon Valley is like 50% devs using it. Visual
Cursor?
Code, yes, Cursor, um, that one. But anyway, like that, I can give you an example where it will not work and it might mislead you and like burn a lot of hours. Is, let's say, language probably doesn't matter. Let's say Java.
Right.
Uh, you need to make a worker that would handle jobs. Let's say it's like a reflection. You get a class, you get a payload that like creates it and executes it. But then there's another constraint that your jobs has to be grouped. So one thread can take one group only and
Right.
execute that group at the same time. And then you have automatically scaling workers, servers based on low workload. So it has to be all synchronized. See on Redis. Good luck with that. Asking AI to get it done, it will take a lot of AI loops. It gets confused what you want because it's a lot of files already. It's like database connection, synchronization, thread synchronization, all sorts of things. So it seemed that humans still could have done it faster, but you can still ask AI to help on small things. So it's not probably a good idea to ask it to do the whole thing,
Right.
but it's better to ask it to do small things. So you say, okay, I have these files, analyze it, all those files and all the related files. I need this specific thing to happen with it. Then it will be good. If you say oh, just do it all for me, it'll be
We're not there. We're not there yet. I believe we're not there yet to get to this point. And I agree with you because you mentioned something. You are the boss. You said you are the boss, and I think yeah, we are all the boss. Not only for coding purposes. I think look like AI is fascinating technology indeed because it takes especially the repetitive tasks, the thing that would take us long time to do, and AI can do it in a much shorter time. But yeah, still we need the human brain to be working and to giving I call it like it's the as they say in France, the chef d'orchestra, right? So the chief of the orchestra needs still to be there doing his magic, and I think this is in this case you Vygandas, right? Uh,
Well, I'd say developer himself, like Russell, is
right.
the chief or master. You can use 5 AI agents to do 5 things, but still, it's you who is accountable, responsible for all the outcome. It's you who have the broad context, understanding of how it all needs to work eventually in the long term, in the grand vision, of what you're building.
Absolutely.
AI has no idea. It literally does what you asked for and doesn't really care about anything else. So that's why you, as the developer or manager, you are the head of it and you use it as a tool. And you wouldn't ask, let's say, a hammer, build me a house. Can nail a nail pretty well, but it can't actually do the whole thing. It has no idea what you want.
Yeah, so I call it like systems 101. So systems 101, if someone studied electrical engineering, they will understand this. So you have this box, it's a black box. So you have
Mm.
input and output. So in order an output to come, still someone needs to feed the input. And this is where we are feeding the input.
Yes.
So 100%. Regardless, are we close to wrap up this episode? I still have to ask you two things. So first, from trends perspective, we talked about AI, but what I'm interested more, it's not like from technology, but where you are seeing like more, I would say, innovation happening in the startup space. Like, is it in fintech? Is it in health tech? Is it still in the B2C space, which is like marketplaces and e-commerce? Where are you seeing the most innovation still ongoing?
I see a lot in engineering related dev tools because, devs easy to build dev tools, I
Right.
guess. So all sorts of helpers and tooling. From my own perspective, since I work more with healthcare stuff, so I see really interesting healthcare implementations, helping clinicians to make decisions, to not missing something. That you with an AI, you could even make pharmacodynamics checkup. Let's say you have a patient who was treated from disease X, or they had a course of mix of medications, but it's a long term, right? A couple of years, for example, and then you're prescribing a new meds, which let's say are new, and for human, it's very big context to grasp already because it's a lot of variables there. But in theory, you can feed all the pharmacodynamics, like pharmacological books into the AI, like as a RAG, like pre-train it already. And then you can just say, okay, here's a patient, age, diagnosis, like problems, meds, like frequency, uh, adverse effects, whatever. And then we want to give this. And it can scan all of the like potential dangers and give you warnings. It should not make the decision. It's not a doctor. Doctor is doctor. They have to be responsible for that. But it could flag, potentially like something that could go wrong. So there's huge, huge potential for applications there. I even seen like some other clinics turns on recording when the patient comes in, like on the dashboard, and
Yeah.
they discuss the problems, and it transcribes and it sees the patient profile, it knows all the issues, and every doctor has to write down basically the note after the session with the patient, and basically it pre-fills the whole thing for you, and you just need to add missing parts, what it didn't caught up well, so it saves a lot of time.
Right. Yeah. So again, fascinating stuff are happening, and thank you for sharing your point of view, Vigandas. Now, love think lost, I would say. Any final words you want to share, and where people can get in touch and find more about you and your work?
All right, so uh, final thoughts. uh, Embrace the AI, keep learning. It's going to happen. It's going to be the future. um, don't be afraid of it. Just learn how to use it properly. If you want an advice, a help, or talk, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find my website with the services that I do. It's coretip.com. On LinkedIn, it's Vygandas Pliasas, like how you see it on the video. It's the same name. And yeah, it's like, I hope it was informative and you learned something.
Indeed, it was Vigandas. And for the audience, you don't have to go and search much. I'm gonna make your life easy because I'm gonna put all the links to Viganda's website and his LinkedIn profile on the show notes. So if you are listening on your favorite podcasting application, you're gonna find them there. If you are watching this on YouTube, you will find them in the description. Viganda, thank you again very much for being here with me today. And this is for the audience, guys. If you just discovered our podcast by luck, thank you for passing by. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did so, give us a thumb up and share it with your friends and colleagues. And if you are one of the people who keeps coming again and again, thank you for keep coming back, and thank you for pushing the podcast to the top 200 list in multiple countries in the first month of the year 2025. So thank you very much for this, and thank you also for people who are in Dubai for making the CTO show as top 40, which is ranked as 14 in the 40 must listen business podcast. So thank you very much for this. It couldn't happen without everyone who support this show. So thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll meet again very soon. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Take care.
Hit that subscribe button, share the show with your tech-savvy friends and fellow entrepreneurs, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast app. Your support means the world to us.